Talk about the Khabib Nurmagomedov Conor McGregor fight. It was a great fight. What was your prediction on that fight first and foremost?
It was basically one of those things where we knew that if it went to the ground, it was Khabib's fight. We knew if it stayed standing, if Conor was able to stuff his takedowns, it would be Conor's fight. My prediction was that if it basically went less than 3 rounds, Conor wins. If it went past the 3rd round, Khabib wins. In the end, Khabib won. In the 4th round, he won via submission. And I agree it was a great fight. And I actually would argue that Conor did better than most people thought he would, with his wrestling in particular. But Khabib is just so good. I've called him the most dominant force in the history of the sport. He is just so good on the ground. He is so relentless. He is so strong. He is so dominant that it's going to be really hard for someone to beat him. I think the next fight should be Tony Ferguson. But I tell you, I would love to see George St. Pierre fight him one day, because I think that could be one of the best fights, because maybe George is able to neutralize him on the ground and he would be forced to stay standing. And then we'll get to see, his full arsenal. I salivate at the thought of that fight. But I think Tony has earned it. And I think if we're trying to make things fair, I think he should get the next fight.
I think if we saw that fight, it would be like Horace Gracie and Matt Hughes. That's just the way I see that. But the way I call this fight was it was going to go 3.5 rounds. And it went 32 seconds over. And a lot of people give Conor McGregor a whole lot of credit. They say he fought a lot better than, and wrestled a lot better than expected. But I thought the fight went, totally the way Khabib, laid the plan out. I mean, he was going to tire this guy out. He was going to string him along. He was going to grind him out, to draw him into deep water, like they said on the Great White Shark movie. We're going to draw him in, and we're going to draw him in and drown him. It seemed like that's what happened. But so many people are giving Conor McGregor so much credit. So many people are crying for Conor McGregor. Why do you think
I don't think that's the case. But okay, go ahead, Ariel.
I mean, no. I'm looking at Brad when I say this. But why do you think that is?
I think Conor has a lot of loyal fans. I think Conor has a lot of supporters. And I think people want to, to back their guy. I mean, I would say that Conor and Khabib have probably like the 2 most loyal fan bases in the sport right now, to the point where it's almost exhausting. It's like every day I'm called an anti-Khabib, pro-Khabib, anti-Conor, pro-Conor. It's like, geez, guys. And I kind of take that as a compliment. Of like, maybe this means that I'm actually calling it down the middle, and everyone thinks that I'm against their guy, and then I'm for the other guy. It's all very exhausting. This fight, if anything, has brought out a lot of passion. And at times it's brought out sort of an ugly side of the sport, and like fans online, and, some of the things that were said in the build-up to the fight. But man, the second, and you could go back and look at it, I was on SportsCenter. The second the fight was announced, I predicted that it would do 2 million pay-per-view buys, which is the record. It ends up doing, according to the UFC, closer to 2.5, which is just insane when you consider the fact that the previous record was 1.6 million. So it almost got a million more. That's just unbelievable. So I have a feeling that at some point down the line, we'll see these guys do it again. I don't know if next is smart for Conor and for Khabib as well. I think it could be bigger if they string it out a little more. Yeah, but they just have 2 very loyal fan bases, and that's what made the fight so big.
But going back to what we found out today from the Athletic Commission with the suspensions, they've kind of suspended them indefinitely until really December, and they're going to reassess the whole situation. What do you think, in your personal opinion, would be a fair punishment for the actions that happened after the fight?
So that's a really good question, and I don't think Khabib should be stripped. Obviously, I don't think he should be suspended very long, to be honest. We have the benefit of hindsight now, and in hindsight, like, no one got seriously hurt. No one, was arrested. Obviously, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a total disaster. It could have been the worst black eye in the history of the sport. But in the end, nothing really happened, and this feud was kind of born in the gutter, and it kind of ended in the gutter. And Conor wasn't seriously reprimanded for what he did in Brooklyn, and people were hurt in that case. And so I don't think that Khabib should be seriously punished. I think that Nevada needs to flex its muscles. I suspect that they'll fine him maybe 6 to 9 months. Suspend him 6 to 9 months, fine him maybe 10% of his purse like they did with Mike Tyson when he bit Evander Holyfield's ear. But in the grand scheme of things, even if he is suspended 6 to 9 months, I mean, like, it's not like these guys fight every 2 months anyway, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. I don't want to see him out for a year. I don't want to see him get a huge suspension. I don't want to see him get a huge fine. I think he is just really passionate. He was lucky that nothing serious happened. I think Nevada needs to, set the precedent that they're not going to allow this sort of thing to happen under their watch. But a lot of things were let go in the buildup. It would be somewhat hypocritical, I think, to all of a sudden, come down heavy-handed on Khabib.
I totally agree, 100%. I've been telling Brad this for the last couple of weeks. I mean, 10%, that sounds great.
Yeah, 10% 6 months is kind of what we kind of agreed on.
I said 10% 10 days.
Yeah, that is what you said.
Let these guys go back to work.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. It was a heated. I mean, we talk about heated conversation. That was a heated situation those guys were going into, and when you bring religion, into the fray, things really get out of hand. I talk about it all the time. When someone to strap a bomb to themselves and go somewhere and blow themselves up, religion, that's just not something you really want to touch. You want to stay away from it. Hey,
when Conor's throwing dollies or doing things that seem like that's part of promoting the fight. He's doing because when Khabib is like, "Why did you jump out?" He's like, "He talked about my dad. He talked about my religion. He talked about my country." He's like, "That's his job.
Yeah, no,
that's what he's supposed to do if you want to sell fights."
Yeah, but there should be a line in the sand, because how far do you go? Because then you're taking it you're making it something other than sport when you cross the line.
It's sports. When you're trying to sell pay-per-view buys,
of course.
it's entertainment at that point.
Of course, but why not burn the guy's house down? Why not just shit on the guy's porch? I don't know. I mean, how far do you take it?
I actually agree with both of those ideas. Those are both great ideas.
No, but then you're going to be like,
"That's dope. I'm watching that fight."
The thing is this, because it's combat sports, the more you wrong somebody and do that, you want to see them fight. Oh, man, he did that to him. Oh, he said that. So I understand that part of it. But when you talk about like somebody's family and religion, like you just talked about what Conor said, you're making it something else. You really are. So then you got to take whatever consequences come to you. So it's so when Conor's in the cage saying, "Hey, it's all business." Really? You're talking about my father? It's all business? Really? I don't know. My religion? Really? Now you're the guy who's not being a hard ass. Now you say, "Hey, it's all business." It's all business. All right. Well, now you're getting your ass kicked.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying, but then it has to be known on both sides. And then Conor, if he does it, then Conor needs to be punished. If he's not punished,
well, he punished him, all right.
but my whole point is that at the end of the day, what Conor does is bringing in money. He's bringing in eyes. Yeah. He's bringing in views. And then when Khabib does that, it's bringing in eyes. It's bringing in views. But because he jumped over the thing and nobody let him in on the fact that it is business, the only people that lost money was Conor and Khabib.
I don't want to keep rehashing this, but I'm just saying, I mean, he broke the guy. I mean, and then when it's time for him to get some revenge, the guy just taps out real quick. It's like, "Hey, man, what the fuck?"
But he handled his loss well.
You know what I mean? It's like, really? Yeah. After all that, you're just saying uncle and chalking it up for next time? Really?